welcome. Hit the like button, hit the bell, hit subscribe. Thank you for listening. Share my show. Let's get started. A lot of y'all might be a little too young to remember this. Y'all remember a chick named Sally Struthers? She used to be in a show called All Up in the Family, Archie Bunker and shit, right? And she was one of the daughters. She was a character, but she started to get really known, I guess what we would call pop culture wise. She would have got torn up in the memes on social media nowadays if this would have been out now. But she used to have these, I'm going to say well-intentioned, poorly executed donation commercials where she would go to third world countries. Matter of fact, I want to say well-intentioned. She would go to third world countries, mostly with black people, with African kids, and she'd go there and she'd show you just the saddest pictures of little African kids. She's the person that the trope of the African kid with flies on his bellies and face came from. She would show you just the most horrible depictions of black people in the poorest, most blighted out conditions and tell you a place to donate your money to. She's not the only person that ever did this. She's not the first person to ever do this. But the way she executed it was just so egregious and just so over the top that it became synonymous with using this tactic, right? And I want to use that example to explain to people in our community what the Democratic Party does with the black vote and with black people. What the Democratic Party does with black people, unbeknownst to us. See, they get a lot more out of the black vote than just a black vote. They get an entire black endorsement. Black people co-signing the Democratic Party legitimizes the Democratic Party, and it allows them to do a number of things. Look at how many instances the Democratic Party uses black and brown or minority or historically oppressed people in terminology to get things that don't have shit to do with black people. You use black people's plight, much of which you cause, right, as a donation rallying cry for the Democratic Party. And black people don't realize that we fall for that. We don't realize that we go around requesting resources for biopic and minorities and historically oppressed and non-cis white conforming, all this bullshit for stuff that really at the end of the day just goes to white women, that these white women then share with their white husbands and their white families, right? Black people, we act like no Democrat has ever been married to or has kids with any white Republican. like this is an argument at their dinner table. That's something that we have to understand as black people is when you see white folks arguing over Democrat and Republican, that's a kitchen table argument. That's an office argument. That's an on the golf course argument. I'm naming comfortable places that white people are having, a theoretical disagreement on ideology versus niggas' very lives be on the line and at stake. Niggas' very lives be on the line and at stake. It's fun and games to them. They're over there playing Don't Wake Daddy. They're over there playing Hungry Hungry Hippo with your shit. And it's life and death for you. What the Democrats do is spam your justice claim, is spend your justice claim like a credit card. And they spend it on everybody else. So that hopefully by the time it comes to you, you get left with the tab. You get left with the tab. This has been a hustle the whole time, and black folks are just starting to become disillusioned to it, and that's good. Because once we become disillusioned to it, we can flip the script. The person that can be controlled is the person with something to lose. And the Democratic Party doesn't realize it. But this entire time they've been feeding us nothing. They've been strengthening us. The Democratic Party accidentally brought black people back together. See, and the reason why this stall out, this disengagement from the Democratic Party is different than ever before is because, and I've said this before, it's very, very similar to the Haitian Revolution. The key turning point in the Haitian Revolution, and I got to give Tariq Nasheed credit for this in 1804, the key turnaround in the Haitian Revolution was when even the coons, even the light brights, even the mulattoes, the ones who thought they were going to be spared by France in their crushing of Haiti, when even those people realized that them even being a drop of black meant they were subjugated to a black existence, a black fate, and they were going to get killed like everybody else. That right there galvanized all of the blacks. That's what galvanized that was a fatal mistake France made. You united your enemies. Never unite your enemies. Ever. And just like France, the Democratic Party has taken all the fragmented sections of black America and united them in their hatred for the Democratic Party. You even got the coons. You got the coon black boule bootlicks upset with the Democratic Party. Now, coon boule bootlicks, they may be a lot of things, but stupid ain't one of them. They've survived this far understanding the writing on the wall, and they're opportunist, right? And right now they're looking at the sea change, and they're putting two and two together, and they're going, I used to survive kowtowing to these white Democrats and feeding them little morsels of information that would make me useful. But that no longer works in this new environment. I can't translate what the blacks are up to and what the blacks want. They're too angry with the Democrats. I can't convince the blacks to vote Democrat no matter who because they're too angry with the Democrats. I need a new strategy to survive. I didn't get nothing out. See, the coons didn't get nothing out of Joe Biden either. The coons are normally completely fine with the suffering and mistreatment and humiliation that happens to greater black society as long as they get their little cut. But they weren't even given their morsels. The older black people that normally vote blue no matter who, they got screwed over. The Tom Joyner boat cruise class of black people, they got screwed over. The optics never looked good. This man insulted you every chance he got. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Remember when he brought Stacey Abrams' black ass out just to not elect her and anything? Niggas felt that. Niggas who don't even like Stacey Abrams was like, hey, that's not cool. Not a single black person walked away with anything to hold their hat on in this election. And you're the only reason this nigga's in office. Even the visual gesture of Kamala Harris ain't quite hitting like it should because she went and hired every Indian person she could and stayed as far away from niggas as possible. Niggas forgot East Indians don't like black people. All that melanin shit went out the window. So you got exactly what you were afraid you were going to get. You opened up that box and there was a goddamn black mamba inside, bit the shit out of you, right? So everybody is snake bit right now with the Democratic Party. And it's almost like I don't even know what they were thinking because it's not like you got numbers that were encouraging enough with the Hispanics to let you know you could drop the blacks yet. The Hispanics went the other way. The Asians went the other way. And they're always going to go the other way. Because basic politics 101 says if you got two parties courting you, never commit to one party. You had a group of people. See, this is how you know that the Democratic Party is either very dumb or they're working off of a different ideology than they say they are. Any business understands the 80-20 rule. 80% of your business comes from 20% of your customer base. If you focus on that customer base that's already loyal to you, you could see increases in sales without having to go get not nary one new customer. You already got a loyal ass voter base in the black vote. A voter base that's not only loyal, but extremely popular in endorsing you. Having the black vote means having the good guy vote, right? People with decent morals are like, well, the blacks are voting over here, so I'm going to go do that. You lose the black vote, you lose the political cover fire to push anything else. People don't have, see, even a person like an Ann Coulter. I'm not talking about a dyed-in-the-wool Dixie flag racist. I'm talking about a old school Barry Goldwater Republican conservative. Someone who at least claims to adhere to those principles, right? A Bob Dole. You sit a Bob Dole or Ann Coulter down in a room and go, whether or not you agree with them, who are civil rights for? And they'll straight up tell you, those are for black people. We did something, this country did something to black people that we have to atone for and make up for. This is why they live in the ghetto. This is why they don't have no money. This is why they're less educated. This is why they're malnourished. This is why their areas and their communities are all fucked up, right? We did that. It's not like they just happen to move and go, hey, we want to live in the hood. Like, no, we did that to them. And we got to try to do things to make things right economically and make things right socially, right? We as a government trained our whole society of people to hate a group of people. There was no natural reason for hate. These were laws put in place. Don't trust them new niggers over there. So we got to undo that shit. Those kind of white people, they understand that. But you start telling them this shit about, and then the Mexicans, and then the Chinese, and then and people with and people who are left-handed, and people who are in wheelchairs, and people who are gay, and people, they're going, nah, we don't owe all that shit. All you niggas that voluntarily came over here because you heard it was a lick, we don't owe you shit. These niggas been trying to escape for 400 years, and we keep dragging them back and stuffing them in the projects. We owe them. This is why I keep saying there was much effort to remove the economics from the history of slavery and remove the economics from the history of the plight that black people have gone through in this country. And what we should see with both quote unquote sides efforts to sweep this shit under the rug, to sweep black history, American history under the rug by switching the name to critical race theory. You notice white folks just be making shit up. Dave Chappelle said that quote about transvestites, talking about how they'll make up words to win arguments. That's white folks in general. Somebody just came up with some shit called BIPOC, right? Which is like let's just brief sidebar. We are no longer letting white folks define us by our inability to become white, right? No more people of color, no more minority groups, no more peripheral people, no more oppressed group. We don't hear all that bullshit, nigga. We black folks. Now, if you got a problem with the term black because of what it means politically, tough shit. Tough shit. We black folks. We black folks. Negro, if you're nasty. To keep it real. To be real specific, in case Africans don't, I don't want to claim black. No, you mean you're not a Negro. But for all intents and purposes, you know who we are. We're going to say black folks. When you can't even say your name in politics, you're damn sure not going to get no specific policy. You're going to forever be the tofu of society. You're going to forever be the shit that they mix in to blend in with other people. That's what they've been doing with us the whole time, having us use the servants' entrance to get food. They can shout out and flat out say LGBTQ groups, stop Asian hate, Hispanic this, Hispanic that. But niggas, we gotta say oppressed people, minority groups, people of color. We can't say niggers because, the second we say niggers, and those white folks will be right on the button. They've prepped us into saying things with a quivering, scared voice instead of saying shit with our chest, right? They got us real scared to say black. Like I said earlier, the left wing is the ones that created All Lives Matter. The left wings is the ones that'll keep hopping in and talking, but it's not about race. They're the ones that have been trying to make class arguments. Crystal Ball is just as interested in sweeping black history under the rug as any Republican. They want to talk class. See, this is something that we don't understand, black folks, that we got to start drilling in our head. Since we never got our money that we are owed, we ain't never letting that shit go, right? Since we never got our money that we are owed, Everything in American politics with regards to financing and budgets is really just white folks debating over how to split stolen slave money. It'll never be anything other than stolen slave. See, we're the only people. This is what cracks me up. There's no way. This is how you know the left and the right huddle together like an episode of goddamn Double Dare and come up with this bullshit excuse they use for black people. We're the only people on earth that they try this with, where they pretend like money and wealth doesn't accumulate and continue to exist. Like money doesn't transfer, like wealth doesn't transfer. Right? I keep saying this all the time. The day slavery, quote unquote, ended, right? All money and finances related to slavery didn't just suck into a polar vortex and disappear, never to be heard from again. The money just transferred over. In fact, in many cases, they gave the money directly back to the slave owners. They simply restructured. The families that own these cotton gins and cotton plantations and shit, their families own that shit now. It's still the touch the feel of cotton. They ain't lost one penny. And all of that shit was government sanctioned. See, that's another thing. There's two things that they sell to black people on the left and the right when it comes to slavery and mistreatment of black people in this country. One is that, well, it's over and there was no money. Right? We just didn't recover anybody from institutions that were making millions of dollars, the equivalent of billions and trillions of dollars a year now, right? That never had to give up their ownership or stop production and are still continuing to this day. We just couldn't find anybody, right? And the second thing that they trick black people on, that they only say to black people, right, is that this was the doings of a few individualized, self-acting, mean white people. It's them damn lone wolves again, right? You ever notice whenever a white person assassinates somebody in a way that clearly involves a team and cooperation from some high-ranking people and institutions, the nigga's always just a lone wolf, right? He's shooting magic bullets off of grassy knolls. He's just alone. He's the most efficient one-man army ever known. He's Jason Bourne. It's always a damn Jason Bourne that just gets away and just does something completely on his own, not acting on behalf of a government body at all, right? What do you know? That's what always happens. And just like that, the same way, they're making you think that the entire institution of slavery that was state sanctioned and induced by the U.S. government, right? Actual rules on law by the U.S. government in order to create, sustain, and feed the U.S. government, that this was the machinations of just a few mean white people instead of the most powerful white people in the formation of the country who were the backbone and bridgebone of the actual constitution and formation of the country, right? This was a institution. That's why they used to call it the peculiar institution. Like, well, damn, isn't that strange? That was the institution that made America America. You don't even have anything on the books in your constitution or in your amendments to this day in 2021 that outright outlaw slavery. You still had to put a caveat in that bit. Hey, we're not doing slavery anymore unless you was a prisoner. And the day they made that up, they took all them slaves and told them they were in violation for trespassing. They were all prisoners and they all went back to work. A rose by any other name would still smell as sweet. America ain't changed since 1863. They just changed the terminology. That's all they did. You got more niggas in prison in America than all women of all colors in the entire world combined. Because niggers make better slaves. It's just a fact. Your Democratic Party has never done a damn thing to stop this. In fact, the worst violations of this are often in blue states. Your vice president, your sister girl mammy vice president, is a verified slave owner. Verified. Not no innuendo, not no myth, not no accusation. It's verified on record. She got niggas that was going to get off and get out of prison because of DNA, meaning it was unequivocally proven that they are not guilty, right? And she, knowing that these men are innocent by DNA, still insisted that they stay because, quote unquote, we need someone to fight these fires for free. I got family members that have been in and out of prison. You know how many trees they done chopped for the government? How many items they done made? It goes deeper than just picking up litter on the side of the road. They get a lot of free labor from a lot of well-known companies that you know and love. They get their labor off of slave labor. Do you know if we pushed and passed a rule saying fix that amendment and take out that prison clause and just have it be no slavery, period? Do you know how hard companies would fight against that shit saying, whoa, we need those niggers to. I believe there was an author, I think his name was David Oshinsky. He wrote a book about Parchman Prison called Worse Than Slavery. Parchman Prison was a prison that they used to use during what they called convict leasing. This was during the early days. See, if you want to know what white folks is up to and how they play with words, go look at what they did to your ancestors directly after slavery. Go look at how it actually got administered. See, because what they do is they take history. White folks are very, 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 very good at spinning history when it comes to black folks to make themselves look good. White folks still ain't admitted that they own slaves, but they'll tell you all day that they freed the slaves. And you're like, well, where'd the slaves come from? We don't know, but we freed them. We sure did. He had a big hat. He was tall, 4 and shit. It was awesome. They know how to spin a story and just keep repeating a lie and sticking with the lie. 99% of a successful lie is just sticking with it, no matter what. Like that Shaggy song, it wasn't me. I don't give a fuck what you saw. I don't give a damn if I'm on camera. Wasn't me. They love to spin these stories. They'll take any opportunity to spin the story the way they want it to, even if how it really happened is right in front of your face. You got Frederick Douglass. See, white folks love to talk about how slavery ended because of abolitionists. Abolitionists ended slavery. Abolitionists forced it and bullshit. Abolitionists were fucking front runners. Abolitionists. This is why I started off this video talking about Sally Struthers, because these abolitionists were the original Sally Struthers. They weren't really about abolishing. I gave John Brown his props, and that's where it stops. John Brown was really down to pick up them things and put it on the line to end goddamn slavery. He was real. Everybody else is full of shit. Everybody else was using abolitionist talking points to raise money for themselves. They do the Sally Struthers approach. They show you pictures of cruel things happening to black people. And most white folks, even back then, they went along with, and this is why I said, this was a government institutionalized program of slavery. Most white folks were here or there about slavery. You had a lot of white folks living in the country that they didn't have enough money to own a slave. So now you're sitting there on the working end of America trying to compete with the white folks that own slaves. Good luck with that, right? So you had a lot of folks that weren't even really big on the institution of slavery, not from some moral standpoint because they thought it was wrong, but because they're like, I can't win from it. And you did have a lot of white folks that, hey, man, that's still a baby. Why are you feeding it to an alligator? What the hell's wrong with you? You know, people that didn't want to go along with that stuff because they knew it was demonic. But they don't feel like they're strong enough to be able to fight the system head on. So what do? You feel bad. So someone comes along offering you some sort of abolitionist speak and go and send some money to the so-and-so society and we'll get this wrapped up. Spend some money with us. Send some money to us and we're going to help get these Negroes up north. And that was a good hustle. That money never went to no damn abolitionists. That shit went right to their pocket. This is something that a lot of black people got to understand. I hear black people talk about white folks as if they're shining angels that just love God and ball and good, right? I'm not saying anybody's inherently evil. But what I will say is this. The environment that you come from dictates the behavior you'll have a lot of times and the morals that you think you stand by. And what a lot of black folks don't understand is that these white folks that came to this country initially, when this country was colonized, These people came from abject poverty and complete and total corruption and darkness, and they were scavenger like, and they'd do anything to not. There ain't nothing scarier than a person that is on that I ain't going back to the hood mentality. I ain't going back, period, right? Type of nigga who's been to prison talking about I ain't going back, that's a scary nigga to deal with. That's a scary nigga to deal with when his back's against the wall. So you're dealing with millions of people who were sent to America in an effort to flush out the bowels of the United Kingdom, right? That's literally what the king was saying. We need to flush out all these insane asylums and all these prisons. We need a place to take all these crazy motherfuckers, all these broke ass poor people stinking up my kingdom. I need a place to take all these riffraffs. And all them riffraffs became America and Australia. So you're dealing with the most cutthroat. Just imagine somebody dumping an entire prison on your country. That's literally what they did in Australia. They just opened boats up on the shores and let them Australians run free and kill and rape and rob any goddamn Aboriginal that they saw. That's what happened to the original inhabitants of Jamaica. Before they put a bunch of black slaves on Jamaica, they killed every Taino they could find. You got whole countries, whole islands where all they did was just release white folks, just release the hounds, just a boat of white people showed up and just started eating people. Tasmania, all them people in Tasmania are gone. And then what happens? Then you get the cover up of, oh, they were dead when we got here. Oh, they gave us the land. Oh, it was. White folks is always going to spin the story to make themselves look innocent as shit. So when it comes to abolitionists, the mainstream white story you hear is that abolitionists were just so determined and dogged to end slavery because white folks are so good that by golly, they got it turned around. And then you read memoirs from Frederick Douglass. See, always listen to a Negro that was actually there. If I was from another timeline and I got zapped to 2020 in the middle of the George Floyd riots, I'm not going to CNN to figure out what's going on or MSNBC. I'm going to go turn to some nigga with a TV in his hand. Like, hey, bro, what's going on? And he going to tell me what really fucking happened. So just like that, you look at the memoirs of Frederick Douglass and what is he saying about the abolitionist in live time as a real Negro going through what he's going through. He's saying these abolitionists need to shut the fuck up. These abolitionists are bragging so goddamn much about how they're trying to abolish slavery. They're giving away the damn keys and security codes, openly talking about where the Underground Railroad is. Hello, the shit's supposed to be underground, as in not out in the open. The abolitionists were so loud and so conspicuous and drew so much attention to what niggas was trying to do, they caused more harm than they helped. Oftentimes, people like Frederick Douglass was saying, hey, I don't know if these niggas are really helping or if they're really spies. They're fucking horrible. They're in it for the clout. They're in it to say. Do you know what the evolved version of the abolitionist that was talking so goddamn loud about ending slavery and the Underground Railroad, that they were actually getting slaves in danger? Do you know what the modernized equivalent of that would be? Skip forward to a couple hundred years, and that type of shit turns into I marched with King. Right? Right? White political candidates, people who are aspiring to be politicians one day, that know it's going to look good on their record to get the black vote to say that I was involved in the civil rights movement. I'm going to walk up next to Martin Luther King and take this goddamn picture and then get out the scene and continue to do nothing for these niggas. That's the trick. I marched with King, Bernie Sanders, bitch. I marched with King. Did you get shot with King? Then shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear no I marched with King and you a nigga that's alive and eating fucking bagels and shit and Martin Luther King's body's in the ground. Quit trying to get clout off my nigga. There's a lot of people that marched with King. A lot of niggas that marched with King, the ones set him up. Abernathy marched with King. Only as I moved away so that they could get a clear shot. Man, I like to beat that nigga's ass. I don't want to hear that marched with King shit. What? Bernie Sanders ain't passed one bill. So you marched with King, right? Think about this. You marched with King, a nigga that told you reparations was imperative for the progression of his people. You marched with King and then went right back to their office and said, I ain't giving those niggas shit. I ain't giving those niggas shit. I marched with King. It's clout. It's posturing and positioning. And the Democratic Party has been using it for far too long and getting away with it for far too long. And when the time came, they spelled it out. They spelled it out real disrespectfully. They said they don't have nothing for us and then went and paid everybody else. They went and paid people and groups that weren't even asking for shit. They went and paid people and paid groups that weren't even asking for shit. Black folks were sitting there tearing the whole country up over George Floyd. And they said, here, we're going to make it illegal for you to be fired if you're gay federally. And the gays were like, thank you. But you should really pay attention to those blacks over there. They look like they really mean business. Hey, does anybody else want anything? Native Americans, you want half of Oklahoma back? You want it? You want it? You can have it. You can have it. Trail of Tears. Sorry about that. Here you go. Native Americans are like, yeah, that's cool. You might want to look at them blacks. They look real mad. They was paying anybody and everybody else. They was paying niggas that wasn't even asking for shit. Native Americans only in one Oklahoma. Like, think about it. If you're a Native American, Oklahoma is when the shit went bad. Right? Indian territory. This is how racist white folks are. They don't even be realizing they be doing racist gestures that they think are nice. Hey, we're going to give you that Indian territory back. Not your real land that we moved you from. We're going to give you the land back that we moved you to on the Trail of Tears and then move you off of again. We're going to give you that back. It'd be like if they had a Holocaust settlement and they said, all right, we're going to give you back the gas chambers. You guys can go move in there again. You was paying people that wasn't even asking for shit before you could pay black folks. And here's the cold part about it. You could have gave black folks the smallest, most nominal of gestures and got away with it. You could have got away with, hey, man, we ain't doing reparations this year, man, but y'all did come through on that election. So we giving out free phone posits to every nigga. Free phone posits. 1 pair each. Free phone posits. Niggas are so used to accepting abuse, they'd have been like, cool, I can resell these bitches up on StockX and I can get a little bit of money. Get my reparations phones real quick. If you'd have put out the Space Jams like on some retro shit one more year, hey, we're doing this just for the blacks now. Come on now. They did come through. Niggas would have been cool. Niggas would have been cool with that. Niggas was going to be cool with 40 acres and a mule, which wouldn't have been shit back then. But you guys are so damn stingy because, keeping it real, like a credit card, all the shopping sprees, all the things you take the immigrants on and the gays on and the feminist on comes off of the black people's dime. Really, the Democratic Party is like one of them ain't shit girlfriends or boyfriends that's taking the rent money and shit and spending it on side hoes like he's a baller. Rent's due. Wait a minute, but you buy her a purse, but the lights is gonna get cut off over here. Nigga, we got kids together. Priorities ain't straight. Priorities ain't straight at all because they don't value us at all. They think we gonna always be here rocking with them because, like I said, they thought we're a captured vote. But the mistake they made was you empowered us by not giving us shit. Now we got nothing to lose. And you even put the coons and you even put the toms, the people who normally get the rest of black society in line when it's time to vote. And yeah, but we got to go out here and vote because our ancestors did. That shit ain't gonna work no more. You even put them in a position where there's no reason for them to vote for you. And there's no reason for them to tell us to vote for you. There's no shaming tactic no more. They know it's bullshit. You add on top of all of that, who's getting come down the hardest on with these mandates and shit. And you look over on the left and one person's trying to increase the mandates, and you look over on the right and them red states is having all the fun. Florida turning up, titties out, no mask, and got the lowest damn rates of infection in the whole country. It's almost like the Democratic Party went on a campaign to never be elected again. Like all the stuff the Republicans been saying the Democrats are going to do if they ever get power, they're going to take over and have it. They actually tried to do it. they really tried to go full Nazi and say, "Show me your show me." Like it's the goddamn alternate reality from Fringe and shit. Who are you, alternate? He didn't even have the power. Like this is what's always funny about governments. The second there's any kind of emergency, the first answer is always we got to suspend the Constitution. It's always the first answer. Didn't have shit to do. Nigga, it was a flu. It was a cold virus. We gotta suspend the Constitution. We gotta start locking people up. Like they always look for that answer, right? 9/11 happened. We gotta start locking people up. We gotta suspend the Constitution. Wait a minute. Y'all niggas ain't got no kind of solution. You're literally the government. You have the ability to form the Constitution if you want to. You guys can't do your job without suspending the goddamn thing you made. That's supposed to be pivotal to how you are formed. You got to suspend just imagine if you as a person, if every time you encountered a problem, you had to completely abandon your code of morals and ethics at the slightest challenge in life. Yeah, I'm not gonna go out here killing and stealing and shit like that. Hey, rent's due in 6 months. It's $1,000. Need you to go ahead and start putting up on that. Hey, nigga, I gotta go hit a bank up. I gotta go hit a lick. I'm gonna have to kill 10 people to wait a minute. You just said you wouldn't. Every single time you get a challenge, you just flip and totally abandon what you say you stand for. We're a country of freedom and justice and equality and privacy and personal responsibility. Oh, hey, there's a cold. Hey, we got to toe tag everybody and have them come in and swear allegiance to Baphomet before they can come into this restaurant. The Democratic Party is never, ever, 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 ever going to be able to recover from that with white people. And I ain't even talking about MAGA hat wearing Dixie flag white people. Just regular Cracker Barrel shopping white folks is not going for that shit. So you done lost a good portion of your white vote. You never gained ground with Hispanics. You didn't gain ground with Asians. And you did all that at the sacrifice of the black vote. And even the Republicans is looking at you crazy over that. Like, you done messed up the black vote? How you do that? You don't get no more loyaler than a black person. What the hell are you doing? You don't want the black vote to be in play. The Sally Struthers strategy is over. It's over. No more Democrats being able to use sad black faces and black blight. You know, they use our poor cities and our poor neighborhoods as stats to be able to get funding to build up their neighborhoods and their cities, right? Funds just be going right over our head that don't nobody tell us about because our black leaders ain't shit, right? They don't tell the black community anything. That's a black leader's job, is to goddamn lead, right? But we don't get told anything because our black leaders, as evidenced by that meeting with Joe Biden, our black leaders are just crony ass double agents for the Democratic Party. They don't care about black people at all. So all of them got to go right off top. You can't have enemies right around you like that. If you got some kind of operation going and I come show you how many niggas around you are undercovers, it's time to clean house. They got all kinds of programs that they use black people as the face of so that they can have white people be the beneficiaries of. Hell, look at Black Lives Matter. Hell, look at the NAACP. You don't never see no niggas in charge of the money. They'll have whole different organizations. The organization that handles the money for Black Lives Matter is literally a separate organization that's all white on the board. So they put you out there as the black ass face to go trick your own people. They put you out there as the black ass face to endorse the Democratic Party and make it look more diverse. It's like that HR poster that you see, where you always got like the Hispanic person, the disabled person, the white person, but it's a woman, the gay person. And when it gets to the black person, they always make sure that black person got some sort of African garb on so that you know it's a safe black, right? The black person in the diversity poster always looked like Ilhan Omar. They use our imagery for shit that don't got shit to do with us. And this time, when we remove our imagery, when we remove our face and likeness, when we're no longer the spokesman, the spokesmodel for the Democratic Party, watch how ugly and unpopular the Democratic Party becomes. These niggas won't win dog catcher. Watch how ugly the Democratic Party becomes. Watch how desperate it becomes. See, if you want any more proof that these parties don't really mean shit that they say they mean, especially when it comes to black folks, take no further evidence than the fact that back in the day, the order was goddamn reversed. Back in the day, the Republicans were the weak-willed, we just can't get anything right, black people, but we're trying party. And the Democratic Party was the strong, loud, and proud, we're for the unions, white power today, white power tomorrow, white power forever party. How can something just switch? It's all a game. The only rules between the two of these parties is that they have to be an opposite of each other so that there's polarization. And we fall for it. But we're not falling for it no more. Black folks are pulling out. And when black folks pull the big black pole out of this big tent party, watch the tent fall on everybody. The Democratic Party cannot survive without the black vote. Now, they've been trying for a very long time not to acknowledge that. People like Crystal Ball and shit like that, they're very, very bitter about that. They don't want to have to talk about nigga shit. They've been getting around for 400 years, never having to acknowledge this nigga shit. Never having to acknowledge what they did. Like, just think about how weird that is to see not just the gross inequality, what you did. 2021, you're still angry and nervous and upset about anybody ever knowing what you did. That's how you know you did some dirt. Imagine if in 2021, right? Imagine if in 2021, you know who you never see arguing back or fighting back about the dirt they did in history? Germans. Do you see any kind of like major German government sponsored Holocaust denial arguments? I'm not talking about some actual neo-Nazis walking around individually. I'm talking about, do you see like, what's the prime minister of Germany? Merkel? Do you see the prime minister Merkel from Germany coming out going, we don't, we think this German critical race theory from the Jews is a little bit offensive and it makes Germans look like we're bad. And no, they sit there and take their lumps because they're like, oh man, this is such a blight on our great nation's history that we did this. They forever walk around with the shame of what they did and the knowledge of how that history impacts even today, right? They forever walk around with their heads hanging like, damn, can't we just be known for BMWs and shit? Like, they're still feeling guilty about that. But America is fighting tooth and claw. America really be thinking the rest of the world don't know what America did and what America does to black people. And they, to this day, are still in denial about this shit. This is why, see, they're so warped. This is what happens when you have somebody this is why you have to have God. Because if you as a person ever get to a point where you feel like there's no consequences on earth for the dirt that you do, you'll have no remorse in life. You'll have no fear in life. Most people don't go around doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. They go around doing the right thing because you can get in trouble if you don't. Consequences is what helps people's conscience, right? Most people do things because they know if they don't, something's going to get them in. There's some sort of behavioral correction mechanism, the law, karma, people getting back at you, something that'll make you go, I don't want that trouble. But if you lived in a world, if you lived in a society where consequences never happened for you, karma doesn't exist for you, and all the laws are made in your favor, what's going to really stop you from doing dirt? And what most white folks don't understand is this whole existence has been an exercise for them to repent. This whole time, it's been an opportunity, 400 plus years for them to just go, let's see if your society can come to a conclusion that what you guys are doing to people is wrong and change your ways. I'm not going to make any outside force you to come to making the right decision. I'm going to see if you can do it on your own. And you never will. You never, ever, ever, ever will. You'll make more effort into talking about it like you did it already. Like I said, you give yourself so much credit for freeing the slaves, which you never did, right? You make so much effort into covering it up, like the telltale heart. You've done that for so long, you've convinced your kids that you didn't do this shit. And now your kids are about to find out what you really did to get where you are. And that shit makes you real nervous. Like I keep repeating, I'm hearing critical race theory, black history, being called every negative thing under the sun, but I'm not hearing it be called inaccurate. Now, I haven't seen black people engage in critical race theory arguments yet. I've been seeing all this, it's real funny. I'm hearing all this talk about angry parents at PTA meetings. I'm hearing all this talk, but I'm not seeing none of this smoke. I'm not seeing none of this smoke. I'm not seeing these angry parents with their threats of violence and shit at these black schools. This must be happening in white schools only. And I wish to hell they would bring that shit to the black schools. You got a lot of black people that wish that them niggas from them sepia tone days threatening that violence would pop their motherfucking ass around here now. Niggas got guns too. We wish y'all would try that January 6th shit in the hood. It could go real left. You saw how I went in LA when you tried to do a little KKK rally around Maxine Waters' establishment and got your ass whooped. Like Tupac said, we might fight amongst each other, but I promise you this, we'll burn this bitch down, get us pissed, right? We've seen how that happens. See, y'all talk a lot of shit. Y'all talk a lot of that white power race shit, but y'all don't never come through. Y'all don't never slide when it count. You was in D.C. with all that January 6th shit around all them black folks. You had all your zip ties and goddamn tasers and AR-15s and all that. These colors don't run shirts, but y'all kept y'all little inbred asses right in the white part of D.C. You didn't step your ass out nowhere near Nigger Town because you know better. We wish y'all niggas would. See, this is what happens. They're trying to intimidate black history out of the schools. Now, black folks been real quiet. Black folks been quiet, honestly. Black folks been quiet since 2016. We've been letting white folks hash this out amongst themselves. They're having a white civil. Y'all keep talking about civil war and all this kind of shit. That's cool. We just stayed out of it. We just stayed out of it. We only got it popping during George Floyd. We let our presence be known. You see all the little fake riots white folks was having, you will not replace us and all that shit. But then when the niggas got it popping, shit got quiet, right? It was like, they're doing a riot. We came home with shit, right? It was the Price is Right. When black folks, when we riot, it's Bob Barker in this bitch. We came home with shit. Professionals. And then we went back to minding our damn business. We ain't got in the middle of none of y'all shit. But here y'all go, See, where the left wears black people like a mask so they can get stuff, the right uses black people like a boogeyman and a rallying cry to hate on to get their people together. So to drum up enthusiasm for this Virginia race, they started pumping up all this, they're going to teach that white people are evil in critical race theory classes type of shit. And racist ass white folks from the right on cue, trains never late, came in full of piss and vinegar to fight against some phantom black folks that weren't even there. That's the only thing they could ever get up for, right? You can slowly take over their entire country with autocratic, authoritative, oppressive regimes, and they won't even notice because they'll be too busy fixating on them niggers. Right? That's how dumb. Lyndon Johnson told you how dumb white supremacists are, that if you just keep them focused on how much they hate niggers, they won't even notice that you're picking their pockets clean. He gave away the game plan right there. Told you that shit. You walk up and tell them how much they're better than those niggers, they won't even notice you're picking their pockets clean. That's how we tricked them into watching niggers in the first place on the field. Hey, Cletus, you're a white man like us, man. We need someone to keep an eye on these niggers. You know, they're not like us. Yeah, you're right. And Cletus's dumb ass is out there watching niggers all day, and the real white folks in the back laughing their ass off. Cletus's dumb ass got him out there watching them niggers. They've been using us on both sides for so long that we haven't realized that we damn got autonomy and we can make decisions for ourselves. And none of these parties really work for us. And better yet, and this is the part that I think a lot of black folks don't realize with political positioning. I think we think that the only options we got is to vote for one or the other, or if we don't vote, we're going to lose ground. Bullshit. If we don't vote, see, we can't lose no more ground. We don't even have ground anymore. We're just fucking floating like Wile E. Coyote in the air. We're done. Politically speaking. The only move we have now is a strong one. We got to start playing this shit like goddamn Hunger Games. If we burn, then you burn with us. See, if we pull out of the party, like I said, we don't have shit to lose. But everybody else who votes Democrat got plenty to lose. If you're an immigrant of any color, you don't want the Democrats to lose. If you're a white woman feminist and you've been getting all these extra rights and better money and better pay in the workforce by playing that Me Too shit and using black people as shields, you got plenty to lose. If you're a white gay and you've somehow convinced everybody that you getting dick in your ass is the same as slavery, and you're getting all these federal rights and shit by hopping on civil rights bills, you got a lot to lose. You got a lot to lose if you're any of the other members of the Democratic Party. If you're one of these young millennials trying to get Medicare for all or Medicaid for all and all that shit and get your student loan bill. No. Nobody gets shit. I don't want anybody breaking out well, we don't have enough money. All of a sudden, when it comes to black people, people start breaking out goddamn abacuses and green visors for taxes and fucking tax codes and shit. No, y'all be having free goddamn goodie giveaways for everybody else. Y'all got so many bills in line for everybody else. Y'all just start making shit up that we can't even physically do in reality. Hey, stop Asian hate. How the fuck do I do that? Just smile. Now when you see an Asian, you just gotta smile at them or you're gonna get arrested for a hate crime. Just making shit up. But when it comes to black folks, the exact same Congress, I'll never let this go. I'll never let this go. The exact same Congress that was able to pass a Stop Asian Hate bill in 90 days can't pass a Don't Lynch Niggers bill in 400 years. The exact same Congress came out and said, sorry, guys, couldn't do it. But had the nerve, but had the audacity to send one of their black bullocks, Cory Booker, down to come tell us to make sure you niggers vote. See, the Democratic Party don't understand how personal it can get with black people. I said earlier, we be fixing soul food plates and shit for for the candidates when they come through. We treat Democratic candidates like they're some son or nephew coming that fucked around and just got out. Hey, Bernie, man, we see, man, we know, hey, nigga, we holding you down, man. We know you's locked up for a minute, nigga. Welcome home, nigga. We made you some plates, man. We got some bitches for you, man. We may rolled a blunt up for you, my nigga. It's Bernie Sanders. When you see Democrats coming to your town, you should be pelting them niggas with tomatoes. Let me tell you how personal black folks take politics. Out here in Seattle, Washington, there's an area called the Central District. And this was the historically black, it's the spot where they shipped all the black people off to back in the day, right? They didn't even give niggas bus routes. It was just a part of the city that they just dumped black people on, and black people had to literally make the fucking city themselves. Like literally had to come up with bus lines and shit. You had regular niggas out there hooking up street lights and shit. They left Seattle, that portion of Seattle, just to black people to fend for your goddamn selves like wildlings in Game of Thrones, right? And by God, somehow, them niggas did it. Them niggas did it. Then, classic white folk move. They realized that the area was too close to downtown and too valuable. So here comes eminent domain, right? They put a monorail over there. They found a way to put a monorail over there and shut down all the businesses and slowly take over. And Paul Allen's bitch ass bought the red apple. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is as follows. The Central District was the black side of Seattle. We had a mayor, I believe his name was Paul Shell. I'm doing this off of memory, and it's been a while. Forgive me if I'm wrong on the details. But he had done the black community very dirty, right? On some little double crossing ass bill type of move. And he had thought, because he thought niggas was dumb, he came back the very next year campaigning, going around campaigning in Seattle, doing mayor shit. See, but a mayor can get touched. A mayor is just low enough on the political totem scale to where he got to go around, kissing babies and shaking hands and shit, and people can walk up and touch him. Man, he made his way to a black ass Central District, and do you know somebody clocked him in the head with a megaphone? They beat the mayor's ass, y'all. Like, Dave Chappelle wasn't joking when he said black people will openly talk about beating up politicians. Like, nigga, you're not finna just go out here and do us dirty and then come back around us shaking hands and kissing babies and shit. Like, it's sweet. A nigga clocked him in the head with a megaphone. I think he dropped out the race. Now, that's not me saying I advocate violence against these politicians. When I say purge, I mean vote them out. But I'm just letting y'all know there's going to be a lot of black people that when they realize what the Democratic Party has done to black people all this time. See, most black people have been on autopilot when it comes to the Democratic Party. We kind of think of them like a bumbling, stumbling PTA mom association that probably is well-intentioned, but they just can't get it together, right? And then for the last couple of years, we've seen the Democratic Party display that they're actually the most efficient party when they want to be. When they want to get damn DACA passed, or they want to get some Dreamer or something, or they can go in and get shit done. Wasn't no study. You see, the only times they break out the studies is if it's for niggas or if it's for poor people. You notice that? They passed that CARES Act for all these rich ass companies before Corona even hit. Before one nigga coughed in America about Corona, they had a Corona CARES Act for rich people. But as soon as that shit came down to giving people a stimulus check since they shut the economy down, they were like, yeah, we got to means test this shit and see if you really need it. And see, man, I don't know if I could just give you $2,000 after 18 months. Just 2,000 whole ass dollars? I don't know. Gave away trillions to companies. Gave away so much money to companies. Companies were giving the money back out of guilt. We don't really need this. We're the Staples Center. Sorry about that. All right? So that lets you know that only with poor people and with niggas, the two groups that don't really apply any political pressure to that party, to that faction, that's where they start playing them games. And niggas ain't playing them games no more. We ain't got shit to lose. We ain't got shit to lose but a trip to the ballot box. So now it's going to be up to twofold. Can new black media stay on their ass? And there's plenty of meat on the bone. There's a new story every day about how fuck ass the Democrats are. That's number one. Can they stay on task? And number two, can black folks stay focused and say, we're not rocking with you no more until you pay us what you owe? Signing out.